Welcome to the Home-Centered Life podcast, where we seek to slow down, opt out of anxiety, and live an unhurried life. We're so glad you're here.
Journey alongside us as we learn about homesteading, homemaking, and living a more simple, home-centered life. Because we think the richest life possible is centered around the home.
Welcome back to the Home-Centered Life podcast. We're so glad you're here. As always, we just want to say thank you for joining us on this journey. I feel like we really can't say that enough, so I'm saying it now. So thank you. So today we're going to talk about something I'm excited about, and I'm just excited to be here in general. It's been a little minute. Life's been full at home, but it's been full for us. So we're going to specifically talk today about how does one keep a home-centered schedule, especially I'd say young families, families with kids. How do you keep a home-centered schedule, especially in today's world? What does that look like? So we're going to dig in and talk about that, because I think that this is sort of one of the main branches, like of our root, of our center. Like our home is the center, so keeping a home-centered schedule, that's a main branch of that. Like the day-to-day, what does it look like? So, yeah. What does a home-centered schedule mean to you, Michael?
I think, and kind of how I'd like to approach this conversation is to think about it in two major categories. The really big things that are just like giant life decisions that we have made, and that almost anybody can at least consider them. They're not going to be attractive to everybody. They're not going to be possible for everybody, or certainly not all of them possible for everybody, but some things. And those big things have made up the framework and the scaffolding that allow the smaller things to happen more easily.
I like that. Yeah.
So we can talk about both the big, massive things, some of which people are going to be like, oh, that's ridiculous. I know, but that's what we did.
Yeah.
And you could, if you wanted to, you might be able to as well.
Yeah.
But they certainly play together, because like if you do none of the big things and then try to keep a home-centered schedule in the day-to-day, it might be more difficult.
Totally.
If the big things conflict with that.
Yeah, I agree. That's good.
And so some of it's laying foundation so that you can build on top of that with the smaller stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that. I think, and just that word foundation just stuck out to me really. That's, I think, again, at the heart of all of this is I believe, and I think we believe, the home is the foundation of a healthy family life, and like living alongside each other in the home, around the home, doing life together. And so, yeah, I think the big things that we're going to talk about, I like the kind of starting with that. And it is one of those things that for some of you might be like, I can't do any of those, and that's okay. And like, keep listening, because maybe down the road you can choose a different path, or maybe, the smaller things we'll talk about will resonate more with you. But just again, believing that if there's a stirring in your heart and something kind of spurs you on or excites you, like from one of these things we're going to mention here, that there's something to that. And so, begin the conversation with your spouse, with your kids, like, hey, like, what would it look like to take this path instead? And I think, again, just opening the space to be, to pivot, and also to, again, believe that something like this is possible.
Yeah. And I think the ability to hold the space for something, just hold the space of possibility. We talked about our family guiding principles and being a possibilist, and we'll do a whole episode just on that, because I think it's really powerful. But when I work with clients, I have to constantly remind them, and I have to remind myself, just hold a space for a second of possibility. Because some of the things we'll share, like legitimately not options for some people. I totally get that. And there are also people who are going to hear it and just dismiss it. No thought at all.
Yeah.
And because we're not having a one-on-one conversation, I can't ask, like, oh, tell me more about,
Yeah.
I was working with a client and we were talking about some of the things that they might want to do. And they said, oh, we can't do that because then we'd have to start using a CRM software. I was like, so why does that make it impossible?
Yeah.
Well, we've just never done that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. But if you got the CRM software, could you do this?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we could. So holding a space of possibility just long enough to sit with it for a second. So we're not saying it's easy. We're not saying it's doable for everyone, but there's going to be some people that might want to dismiss it just straight up without considering it. And I'll just encourage you to pause and hold a space of possibility.
Yeah.
And then if it's like, no, really, we can't do this. Like, yeah, totally. I get it. You're the expert in your own life. But these are things that we've done and or are doing.
We're trying to do,
or we're working towards. I think all of them, we're doing, except kind of one of them is something we're going to do or we're planning on doing. But there's 6 things that I typed out before we hit record that I think are worth considering, and they're big.
Yeah.
And I think that bigness makes it a little bit more difficult to hold that space of possibility.
Right. Well, and I just want to speak to that too personally, because I've come a long way, and I think it's a natural thing for people to do, because to dismiss these kinds of things.
Yeah.
And I know that we've had conversations where I've been that one saying, oh, I just can't, or we just can't. And I feel like you've really helped me and like kind of called me on that in a loving way over the years. And so I'm more open to these things. And I think part of it is just, maybe most of it is just fear, the fear of the unknown. Our brains just go, nope. I don't know what that looks like. And I just shut it down. And I've been really encouraged by your kind of loving prodding, just like, let's just see, but it can be so scary. And so I just want to say that out loud, this wasn't easy for me, especially. And there's still some things that we talk about and I've had to tell my brain I noticed that oh, I'm about to say something negative, or but I just have to be I'm just going to listen. If you share an idea. So again, just create that space. So let's, do you have something else you want to add?
Even if it's legitimately not possible today, that does not mean it's not possible ever.
Yeah, right.
I am surprised at how often myself and my clients, lots of folks, oh, never. What, really? Never? I don't know about that.
Yeah.
How good are you at telling the future? I'm not good at it at all. I was chatting with a client about raising their prices, and I was like, well, based on your costs, this is what it should be. How do you feel about that price? And they literally said, I could never charge that. I was like, I don't think that's helpful. I get it.
Yeah.
So even if it's no, legitimately, we can't do that today. Yeah. But what about a year from now, 10 years from now, even? So
totally.
Just hopefully we've qualified and specified enough. I hope people hear the heart. I know it's easy to misunderstand. I hope people hear the heart of just holding a space of possibility. And even if it's not possible today, maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or the next day.
So without further ado, we have the things. So here we go. So first thing,
if you want a more home-centered schedule, you might consider moving.
Yes.
That's what we did.
We did.
And it wasn't even where we lived was bad. But number one, on a macro scale, we lived just outside of Portland, Oregon, and climate weather-wise, it was just terrible. Yeah. Neither of us were thriving. Yeah. Also, more specifically, that particular house had the tiniest, it was a duplex. So not even space around the entire house. We shared a wall with another unit, even though we owned it. the space in the backyard was so tiny. And it was right next to a freeway. So like constant noise.
So we didn't really want to be home as much.
Yeah,
I
so
feel
like, well, that's the thing. It's like part of it was like, home-centered life. That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
If that's your home.
Yeah.
And
For us,
again,
that was,
I know like not everybody can move. Lots of reasons why that might not be an option, but worth considering, or maybe even just setting your sights for the future.
Yeah.
And we didn't just move across town; we moved across the country.
Yeah, I think
Wisconsin.
that was one thing that kind of COVID opened up was a lot. I saw a lot of that.
Yeah.
A lot of people kind of questioning, why are we here? Do we want to be here? And I mean, I know tons of people that picked up and moved across country during that season of life because again, it opened. There was more space to think, and that was one gift I would say of that season. So yeah, you consider moving. Number 2, working from home. Yes.
And maybe these won't go in this order. Like maybe your job would go remote and then you would move.
Yeah, that's good.
Which is kind of what happened to us because of COVID.
Yeah.
But I kind of parsing them out separately. I think I mentioned this before. I knew I wanted to work from home before that. Because I had taken some days where I just did it just to see, like, am I more productive? Am I more focused? Am I more satisfied? And again, like if you don't like your home or your home life, or there's lots of reasons why work from home might not be doable, or maybe not just doable today, but when you don't have to commute to and from work, you recapture a surprising amount of time.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's not surprising. That's sort of the duh part. But it's a surprising amount of energy. Not just like gas in your tank, in your literal car tank.
Yeah.
But I don't think, and I wouldn't have calculated this beforehand. It's difficult to calculate, but we can say with absolute certainty that the brain burns a ton of calories, and you will burn a ton of those calories commuting. It's really cognitively exhausting and emotionally exhausting. The brain burns between 20 and 30% of the calories you burn just doing its thing. So the commute is cognitively demanding. It's actually tiring. It's exhausting. And you recapture a lot of that when you just have to go upstairs.
Yeah.
And so there's beauty there. Again, not possible for everybody, or maybe you don't want to. Maybe you like your commute. That's great. But we did that, and it's been a huge blessing.
Well, and to add to that, one of the things that I see even more now because we have kids, there's like all the little mini moments that we get back because, you have to come downstairs to get some food for lunch, and you get to see us and the kids, and, you get to see us when we're going potty in the bathroom, or, like there's all those, or you can even, hear the laughter downstairs, all those little things.
Or sometimes our daughter will call up.
Yeah.
And
she
I can
knows
respond.
You're here.
Yeah, she can hear me up here.
Yeah.
Or I can call back down to her, or she can come say hi to a client.
Yeah. I mean, we love it. I know it's, again, not everyone loves it. Some people probably hate the thought of being at home by themselves, but then you probably wouldn't be listening to this podcast.
I was just gonna say, Welcome to the Home Centered Life podcast. You probably are hating this.
Yeah. So number 3 is having a stay-at-home spouse, which would be me. I would in this equation. So again, I feel like to preface this too, like maybe, I don't know, earlier on in our marriage when I thought about being at home all day, every day by myself, it scared me. It like freaked me out.
Totally.
And I had a lot of work to do and a lot of uncovering of things that I didn't realize were there. Like I actually have been an introvert my whole life, but I didn't even realize it. But I was so afraid of, I don't know, just being in a space by myself. But now that I am home and, the kids make I'm not by myself really ever anymore. But again, that allows so much more life to be lived. And, the meals we get to eat and the money we save because I'm at home. And I know that's a shift, a mindset shift, but also just the again, the like creating a space every day of hopefully warmth for us to thrive in as a family, and not having to, send our kids to daycare. That's such a gift. Like it just, there's so many things I just love about it.
Yeah. I think this would be another thing where, man, there's so many reasons why somebody wouldn't want to do this, can't do this. Absolutely. Gosh. I mean, if you're a single parent, what are we even talking about? I don't even know what that's like. So I'm not pretending to know everything about everybody's particular story. What I have noticed though, is that a lot of folks just assume you got to do the dual income thing. Like as though there's no option. You can do whatever you want, especially if you love your job. Okay. But it's possible. It's an option. And the thing that I notice most often is people have just never even considered it. And, or they dismiss it out of hand again. They're like, well, that's just not possible. Maybe not. But, the other thing is I also have not seen too many folks actually tally up the costs. And I don't just mean financial, but you can build a pretty strong case if you just look at it financially. Like these expenses go way up if both spouses are working. So that is part of it, but also we've talked about when we have had to like get the kids up super early to go somewhere and how expensive that is emotionally. They're the whole day they're off because they're super tired. Now, what does that look like writ large? They're tired the whole time. Year after year after year. And with what we know about sleep and cognitive development, like that's expensive. That's lifetime expensive. An overtired child whose brain is unable to develop to its full capacity because they're constantly tired. So, and again, no guilt or shame or judgment if somebody has to, or for whatever reason, but just counting the cost, which I think is an important principle in all facets of life.
I love it.
All right. Next one is one we haven't technically done, but homeschooling is an option. I kind of feel like we're already doing it because you got like painted lady butterflies for our daughter. And when we go collect eggs, we're counting and she's doing ABCs. And so I do kind of already feel like it started, but technically I'll say we haven't, but we're planning on it.
Totally.
Which is also an option.
So we'll leave it at that because we don't know enough yet, but that's our plan. But all those hours of missed time, like our kids are going to be here.
Right.
And we're excited about that. I know, again, that's not for everybody, but like I'm excited. So excited about that.
And just two things. If it sounds terrible to you, totally get it. Also, I realized the reason it sounded terrible to me at first is because I didn't understand what it was.
That's good.
And that's I feel like we don't have enough conversations about that as a culture. When somebody says like, I don't want to do that. You don't want to do what you think that is, but you don't know what that is.
We better.
And homeschooling is like that. I thought it was just school, but at home. That's not what it is though. Or it doesn't have to be that. You can do that if you want, but it's not public school at home. That's not what homeschooling is.
Right.
Maybe a whole separate episode once we actually are doing it.
I like it.
All right.
Number five.
Homesteading.
That's
the more things you have to do around the house, the more naturally home-centered your schedule will be. And if those things are things you enjoy, then the whole thing is joyful. So if you hate milking cows, maybe don't get a cow. Or try it, but then get rid of it if you don't like it. We love keeping chickens. We're planning on getting goats. What if we hate it? We'll get rid of them. Because we want it to be a place of joy. We want our home-centered life to be joyful.
Well, and I think the funny thing too about like when we say like, oh, we're planning on getting a dairy cow, and they say, you're just never going to leave. And part of me is like, sweet. I'm like, that sounds great. So we have the perfect excuse now to never leave. But it's also funny because a lot of these people that say that have never actually had a dairy cow. So that's funny to me. But but I don't know. I mean, you guys know homesteading. That's just, I was telling someone a couple days ago that it wasn't until I was a mom, a homemaker, like in our own home, and a homesteader, that like I felt like those three things together, like I fully came alive, you know. So for me, I just love it, you know. Obviously it's, again, not for everybody, but, and then number 6, home-based business. I think that's pretty obvious what that is, but do you have anything, do you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, I do. Because you can work from home and or start a home-based business. So I do both.
Yeah.
But but you could be like an employee for somebody else working from home. Home-based business could be a business you start that also is working from home.
Yeah.
You know, in our online era, you can do almost anything from home. But also homesteading and home-based business can be intertwined. So what's happening now is things are starting to gain traction in terms of like the stuff we've been doing. People want some of it, and it's turning into its own revenue stream.
Right.
And there's a surprising number of things that you can convert into home-based business revenue streams. If that's not your natural inclination, I totally get it. It's not really mine either, but I've been doing it for long enough that my brain is starting to work that way. And so now I see stuff everywhere.
Right.
Because I was just talking to somebody about, they shovel horse manure, and they're like, do you think I could turn this into a business? I was like, yeah. Like, they're just doing it for one stall. I was like, but you could make it a whole thing if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And you could even get a license to turn it into compost, obviously, you know, adding things together. But if that would be a huge value added product, you could sell it for a lot more. So it could be not just be a horse manure removal business, but actually a compost business.
Yeah. Cool.
Check with the authorities in your area about licensing.
I love it. So
those possibilities.
I like it.
Those are big things, though.
Those are,
not possible for everyone, but maybe just hold them for a second and see how they feel.
Yeah. So those are the big things.
Yep.
And then these are sort of more the things that I came up with, like the day-to-day decisions, or week-to-week, year-to-year things that we have to make a choice as to yes or no. And I think, again, a lot of this comes down to what are you willing to say yes to, but even more like, what do you say no to, you know? And I think that's really the thing, because especially in the world today, there are so many things vying for our attention, and so many things that we can say yes to that are good things. I mean, that I was so guilty of that for so much of my life. I just said, so I feel like I've told you, I was in like 13 clubs in high school and sports and all that. It's like, I just couldn't say no because there were so many options and there was so many good things, but then my energy was so dispersed. And so I never did any of them very well, I don't think. And so I think that's a lot of living a home-centered life too, like choosing the 1, 2, 3 things that are like top priority. And like, these are the things we say yes to, and then everything else is a no. So just to start off, like calendar wise, I feel like we're really intentional because we know our limits, and we know, again, like what happens to our kids when we go out a bunch. We really try to like only have 1 or 2 things that are out of the house each week. Like, that doesn't mean I don't take kids to the grocery store or, you know, we go to the park, but it's the doctor's appointments or the dentist appointments or the, you know, church group things, like just 1 to 2, like 2 is even sometimes too much depending on how far apart they are. So kind of consider that. Again, you guys know your own, hopefully your own limits better than I know yours, but we've kind of through trial and error figured out like, wow, 1 or 2 is enough, you know? And I know in this season too, with little kids, I feel like I'm noticing they take a couple of days to recover from something big. For example, literally yesterday we had one of my best friends come over with her 3 kids, and our kids are so tired today still.
Yeah, still.
They're still, and they slept terribly last night because it was so much. So I have appointments and gatherings. So similar things, like appointments are the like kind of have to things, but you can spread them out. You don't have to have all the appointments all at once.
Yeah.
And then gatherings, like how many social events are you doing, and how many play dates, and how many outings? Because I think, again, living a home-centered life means we don't have to do all those things. And I don't think a lot of us want to, but we feel like we need to. Yeah. Would you have anything to add to that?
I was just going to say, especially with respect to appointments, I'm absolutely in the same boat as I was in a million things in high school, which is why I had my first emotional breakdown in high school. So I totally get it. Nobody ever told me this, so hopefully this is helpful to somebody. People are generally a lot more flexible than we assume. And that can look a million different ways, but mostly it just looks like asking, like, can we spread that out a little bit? I even thought with vaccines is like a whole separate topic, but I assumed you had to get all the shots in one visit. Right. I thought that was it. And if you had asked me, I would have said like, well, that's just, I'm not even going to ask because there's no options. And I remember when we were there, it's like, is that even necessary? And he's like, no, absolutely not. I was like, I would not, but I asked, and I'm so glad I did. Totally. I didn't just assume there was no flexibility. Yeah. I think a lot of times we assume people are not flexible. I just had somebody reach out and they're like, oh, can you meet tomorrow at 4 p.m.? I was like, that doesn't work. Does next week work? And they were like, oh yeah, totally. Next week's completely open. So it's like that. They're offering, but that's not a contract. That's a lot of times if you just like, that's not actually great for me.
Yeah.
What about this? And a lot of times they're like, that's even better. So it's not no to bad things and yes to good things. That's not all that there is. Sometimes it's no to good so you can say yes to great.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more nuanced than I think we're told or taught.
Yeah, that's good. I'm going to skip to, again, we talk about this a lot, so I feel like this isn't anything new to all y'all, but having dinner at home together / not being out of the house around dinner time. Again, we try to fit those things in that we kind of need to do during the day so that the evenings are quiet and at home. And I mean, today was like a beautiful example. When you got done with work, you took your nap and then you came out, and like Annabelle and I, you came out, and like our daughter and I were out digging in the yard and, finding worms for the chickens. And then we were, just outside together, and it was beautiful and just such a beautiful, peaceful time before we then had a meal together. And again, having a meal together is so important. And doing it at home is, I think, the most beautiful thing. You don't have to do all the social things in the evenings. And there's a season for those things for sure. But I think especially laying that solid foundation as a family means having dinner together most nights at home. Yeah.
I think a good story worth sharing on this one, because it ties together a bunch of things and also illustrates that we don't do this perfectly, or it doesn't go perfect, even if we try. Is the training that we did. The client wanted me to be there from certain time to certain time, but when I factored in travel time, I was like, we're going to be getting home way past dinner time. So I just asked, like, well, is there any way we could do it earlier? And they were like, oh yeah. And turns out it was actually way better for their staff to do it earlier. But all because I asked. I didn't just assume it was impossible. And I asked because I knew that would kind of steamroll our dinner time.
Right.
Well, fast forward, it steamrolled our dinner time anyway. So the best laid plans.
Yeah, totally.
It doesn't go perfectly. Yeah. We ended up trying to order Indian food on the way home.
On a Friday night.
And then it took over an hour. So a bunch of things went sideways. But I think it's worth sharing because one of the biggest things that I think people implicitly assume is that like, oh, you try to do these things so they'll always go perfectly.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
No, that's never ever the case.
Well, and we're even in a season where our little guy like needs his last nap like right around when dinner time is. So oftentimes you're like up here bouncing him on the trampoline, and we're, I'm downstairs with our daughter eating. Yeah. So again, we're trying to find that flexibility, and but again, in general, doing it more often together than we're not.
And I even come down just to see if he'll stay asleep.
Yeah.
Because I want to be there for it.
For sure.
And it doesn't always go that way, but I still come down and try.
Yeah.
Versus just like not trying at all.
Totally.
Because this is so important to us.
Yeah. I put errands on here too.
Yeah.
Partly because I think my train of thought here was there's this pressure to, I don't know, for me as a mom to feel like I always have to have something to do with the kids. Or I was feeling this for a season. Like, let's run to the hardware store. That's an outing. Let's go to the library. That's an outing. Or it's like checking something off the box, like, the grocery store. But I think part of what I realized was it was just an implicit pressure that I was putting on myself. And then day after day after day where I felt like, I'd have to find something to do, I realized I don't have to do that. And again, like, I know errands need to be done. So I like kind of boxing them up and, trying to do like more things together in a day than like one thing every day. Because I just realized I don't like that, like being out all the time every day. We have to go somewhere. Because I think, again, a lot of the beauty is in the like digging in the dirt, finding worms, and the like, let's just hang out outside together and see what comes up, rather than feeling like you have to do something every single day. And then we put on here investing in individual and together time. What do you think about that one?
So if we're going to have a home center schedule, it's unhealthy for most people to be together literally 100% of the time, every single waking moment. So a home center schedule is not going to be sustainable if you don't have time away. Alone time. So like just recently, I started waking up a little bit earlier again, which every time a child is born, it's just like, forget about it. Forget about the morning routine. Forget about the blah, blah, blah. So, but I do, if it's possible, and if I've been able to sleep, which lately I have been, and you've been doing the remaining wake ups, but it's enabled me to get up early again and have a few moments to myself, which makes the rest of the day together way more healthy and sustainable. So even though we're home, we're not together the whole time.
Right.
But we're also not separate the whole time either. That we're not just like ships passing in the night the whole time. Yeah. So there's a balance of togetherness at home and alone time at home. You can have both, and you don't even need a giant like property to do it.
No, for sure. For sure.
I mean, we even did this before we had kids in our previous space but it was small. So I think, but in the specific balance can be different for everybody. But though I think the one thing we could say with relative certainty is everybody's healthiest if they're together sometime and alone sometime.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we do. Again, it's been a flux, but like we talk about like general Wednesday nights are like alone time. And this Wednesday, it didn't look like that. We were outside chainsawing after the kids went down to sleep. But like in general, but that just looks like to us, sometimes we're even like in the same room, but we're like, it's like a pass to be like, I'm just going to read my book and you can do your own thing. Or
I just did that today. At lunch.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to put on my headphones and go into veg mode.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I feel like maybe maybe some people are like, I do that all the time. But for us, it's more like, let's just have the conversation and check in and be like, hey, I still see you and I love you, but like, I'm right here and I'm going to do my own thing. And I feel like we've gotten pretty good at asking for that, or being like, I need that right now. So that is a good thing. And then lastly, I think we already talked about this, but just again, limiting what we say yes to. I think that is really at the center of it all.
Yeah.
And not feeling shame or guilt when you realize like this X thing is too much for our family in this season.
Yeah.
And again, it's all seasonal. It's all temporary. Like you can always return to the thing to like say no to something for a while.
Yeah.
Like you have to just check in and know your family well enough to say like, this is actually healthier for us to stay home from this thing because we need this time together. So yeah. So those are the things that we've kind of woven into our daily and weekly and yearly life, this life that we're trying to create and build. And again, we're not doing it perfectly, but hopefully like in sharing some of our flaws and mess ups, you can be like, wow, well, this is still possible and I don't have to do it perfectly. And I think, you know, we love it and we hope that you love it too. But I think I was just saying to someone yesterday, I think living this way is so necessary in this world right now. I think it's always been necessary, but I think, you know, earlier on in history, that was just the way people lived.
It was the default. Yeah.
So I think I'm excited to watch us get back to this as a culture, and I'm hopeful that we will.
Yeah.
And I think this is like my heart for this podcast would be just being guides and journeying alongside all of you as we do this together, because I think we need it.
Yeah.
Ah, there we go.
Yep.
Mic drop. Just kidding.
I think to kind of tie it up, especially going off that last one, limiting what we say yes to. If I think it's a self-evident truth if we just pause and think about it for a second. If you just pause and take a deep breath, can you do everything? No. But take one more breath. Can you do all the good things? No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Clients ask me all the time, how do I get it all done? You don't. You can't. Well, this is good and that's good and that's good. I know. But also you literally cannot. Like it's impossible. But also trying does a great violence to our souls.
Yeah.
And it also teaches our kids two things. And I this would be future focused a little bit, but because I've seen this so often, I still think it's worth calling out. One is it teaches kids that there's no limits, but there are limits. You cannot do it all. But if you raise kids trying to tell them they can, I heard somebody say, you can be anything you want to be, but you can't be everything you want to be. And that's what I mean. You can do anything,
totally.
but that's morphed into, you can do anything has morphed into you should do everything. That's different. And that's not real. That's not possible. That there is a line. There are boundaries. That's one thing. The other thing is kind of going back to what Dr. Becky Kennedy said about selfless parenting. I see a lot of parents, I hear a lot of parents in front of their children say with super self-evident pain and frustration and resentment, I'm just their chauffeur. Your kid is right there, listening, seeing, hearing. What is that doing? So at the end of the day, it's not even just a home-centered life is nice. It's like you said, it's necessary to draw a boundary line and say, yes, that's a great thing. You want to do ski lessons? That's amazing. We aren't doing that right now.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah. And I think to be okay with saying no and trusting yourself as a parent enough to be like, I know that this is actually good for you. And you might not see it right now, but I know that this will be better for us as a family in saying no.
Thanks so much for joining us today for our conversation around building a home-centered schedule.
We hope you found it both helpful and encouraging. And if you like this episode, we would love it if you'd subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's a great zero-cost way to support this podcast.
You can also find us on Apple and Spotify and leave us up to a 5-star review. One of the amazing things about the world we live in today is you can help us live a home-centered life by liking, subscribing, and leaving a review.
We look forward to connecting again soon. Thank you so much for joining us as we seek to live a more home-centered life.